Hello. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make my sourdough bread. I'm going to do it step by step so you can take the information in this video and hopefully make it yourself. So we'll start by firing up my scale here. I'm measuring in grams. This is the mixing bowl for my KitchenAid. I just pushed the button to zero it out. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is start with my water. This water here is about 150 degrees. Filtered water. You don't want any chlorine out of tap water, so you want to make sure you use filtered water. We're going to put 200 grams in. Okay, 200 grams. Now this water is about 45 degrees. We'll put enough water in this to bring it up to 400 grams. So it's actually going to be 400 grams of water in the recipe. But we're doing half hot and half cold. This will give me a water temperature of about 100, between 100 and 110 degrees. Okay, there's 400 grams. Set this aside. Next, we want to take our sourdough starter, zero this bowl out. Okay. Now we need 460 grams of our starter. This is sourdough that I fed this morning. You need to use it between 3 and 6 hours after you feed it. That's when you know it's ready. It's nice and active. Again, we're going with 460 grams. We're getting close. That's 430. That's 480, so we need to take a little bit out. Mm. 460, yeah. There we go. 460, perfect. Okay, now we're going to take this and let's give it a little swirl to mix the temperatures here. We're going to just add this right into the water. This is the best way I found to mix your dough using the mixer. You put the wet in first. That's important. You want the wet stuff on the bottom of the bowl. Okay. So we're done with that. We're done with the starter. Okay, next, we'll set this aside for now. Now we're going to measure out our dry ingredients. Okay, this is bread flour. This is General Mills. I get it in a 50-pound bag from Restaurant Depot. It's specifically made for artisan baking, and we need 600 grams. $5.75, and then I'll use my little scoop here to get the last little bit. And that's 600 grams right there. Okay, now I'm going to zero this out. And to this, you want to add either rye or wheat flour. I prefer to use rye. I think it tastes better. I think it has a better crust that way. The rye is stickier, but it's actually easier to work with, especially when you're scoring it after your cold ferment. I'll put 90 grams of the rye in here. And 90 grams. Okay, so we're done with the rye. We'll set this off to the side. I always do the salt in a separate little bowl. It's hard to take the salt back out, and too much will affect your fermentation. Too much salt will slow it down. You won't get as much oven spring, you won't get the bubbles. And now we want 20 grams of salt. This is fine sea salt. 18, 19, 20 grams. Okay, now we're just going to sprinkle that on top. Now you're just going to take this and you want to mix her up. You want to get all the flour and salt well combined. I usually do this with a whisk. Today I'm doing it with a spoon. You can even use your hands and just mix it together. All you want to do is get it really combined together. Especially the salt. I like to make sure that the salt is throughout the flour and the rye. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now what you're going to do, you're going to pull over your wet ingredients, and you're going to take this, you're just going to dump it right on top. And you actually want to gently dump it on top, because you really want the dry ingredients to be sitting on top of your wet ingredients. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to use my dough hook to stir this, and if you had your dry ingredients on the bottom, when it comes together, you still have a bunch of dry ingredients on the bottom of the mixing bowl. So now we're going to put this onto our KitchenAid. Put our dough hook on there. Raise it up. And now we're going to mix it. Now I'm going to watch this. And I'm going to wait for it to completely come together. That's when it starts to look, it's going to look a little shaggy. But you can see that you don't have a whole lot of real dry spots or real wet spots. It'll take a minute or two. Usually when I'm not making a video, I'll take this time to clean up my dishes behind me. Okay. Then what I do now is I lower it back down again and I scrape down the sides and the bottom and into the dough. And I make sure I get all the way down to the bottom because I'm actually looking to make sure that there's not a big pocket of flour sitting on the bottom of the bowl. Okay. That looks pretty good. Now I want to raise her back up again. At this point, I'm going to start it. And I'm going to set the timer on my stove over here to 10 minutes. I'm going to let that go and just run for 10 minutes. What we're going to do with this is it's mixing the dough and it's creating the gluten structure that we want for this type of bread. This is a high hydration bread. So, all right, we're going to let it go for 10 minutes and we'll come back after it's been running. Okay, the dough has been mixing in the mixer here with the dough hook for 10 minutes now. This is on the lowest setting. The whole process from beginning to end is on the lowest setting. And you can see it's well combined. It's holding together and it looks little smooth and elastic to it. And that's the way you want it to look. So now we're going to stop this and we're going to turn it out into the proofing bowl. Okay, so we're going to lower our bowl down on our mixer. I'm going to scrape off the dough hook. Get as much of the dough as we can. I like to get as much bread out of my mix as I can. Set the dough hook aside. And we're going to take our mixing bowl, and there it is. We're going to turn this over, and we're just going to scrape this out into the bowl that we're going to do our bulk fermenting in. And get as much of the dough out as you can. And as you can see, the bowl is nice and empty. There's no flour bits, dry flour bits, or anything in it. It's fairly clean, got most of the dough out. Okay, and here's our dough. And you could actually just cover this and let it start its bulk fermenting. But I like to do a little bit more. I'll take my spatula and I'll just start to turn it in on itself, leaving it on the top. Just working the dough a little more. And I'm looking at it and I'm making sure that I don't see any spots where it seems like the rye is darker, not mixed in as well, but it looks pretty well combined. Okay. There you go. All right, next step is to cover it and wait for 30 minutes. So let's grab our cover. I want to cover it up, set aside, and start the timer.